One of the apps we built was exclusively about affinity. It was about finding a person that you had the most in common with because we were all about connection. All of the things we've always built have been about how you can meaningfully forge relationships with other human beings, whether that's on the internet or in real life.
So I'm grateful for information that you sent me about the Valentine's Day and the games that you are implementing. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Yes,
So could you share that information?
I would absolutely love to. So it's funny, as I mentioned, some of the previous apps we worked on, one of the apps we built was exclusively about affinity. It was about finding a person that you had the most in common with because we were all about connection. All of the things we've always built have been about how you can meaningfully forge relationships with other human beings, whether that's on the internet or in real life. And so we would have people, the app was literally, you'd fill out 11 questions every single day, and then we'd find you the people that were within your college or within your high school that had the most amount of similarities with you. And that was to give people an opportunity to talk about the things that they have in common. Obviously, differences matter very much in forging meaningful relationships as well, but similarities are a really good starting point. And so we came up with this idea right before Valentine's Day. We wanted to build a product that would allow you to make similar meaningful conversations. This wasn't a full-time thing that we wanted to have running all the time, but we thought it'd be a fun little release for us. So it ended up being, we called it Yak Match, and it was like a Renaissance pop themed questionnaire that users would fill out. I think it ended up being around 42 questions that were a mix about how you'd handle things in different situations, kind of like the Myers-Briggs questionnaire, a mixture of those, but also fun ones that were like a little bit sillier and maybe nonsensical, like is a hot dog a sandwich, which is a very important question that splits people. And so they would fill out this questionnaire, and then we would do 3 different drops over the 3 weeks. The first week, we would pair you with the person that we thought you had the highest affinity with based off of a stable match algorithm. We'd find who you had the highest compatibility score with that was on your campus that we think would make a great friend. And so we also asked about interests. And so we'd put you into a DM with this person that we thought was a great candidate for you. That was week 1. Week 2, we put you into a group chat based off of people that had the same interests as you. And so we had people fill out multiple interests. So it could be baking, surfing, software development, video games, Super Smash Brothers, movies. It could be basically anything. And then we'd find these people that we'd put you into a group of people that had the same group of interests. That one, honestly, we were very surprised by how well that did in terms of forging these conversations and getting people to actually discuss. One of my favorite examples, I looked just like a summary of some of the top ones. We saw that had the most conversation happening, people that were sending the most messages. It was within like 2 hours of the match being made, we saw that there were 1,000 messages that had already been sent, which honestly is an insane rate. And so I was like, I need to see like what were these people matching on? And it was a group of people that had matched on their love of baking. And then basically I had reached out to one of them because I was curious. I wanted to just like get their perspective on how the conversation went, if they were comfortable with it. And they were telling us that within the first 30 seconds of the chat, they had organized meeting up to do a bake-off, had revealed their real identities in this anonymous chat, and were planning to actually meet up and hang out. And so it's this idea that we were able to maybe actually get a group of people that were potentially otherwise lonely to come together and meet in real life is like, that's the dream. That is literally like the thing that we want to be able to facilitate more of. And it doesn't have to be in person, it doesn't have to be revealing your identity. It can totally be anonymous too, because you can forge connections, meaningful connections online in a chat of any form. So anyways, that was week 2, was the group. And then week 3 was romantic. So whoever you identified as a person that would be an eligible romantic partner for you, we took that into consideration and we did a similar compatibility score and we put you together into a group chat, and people were able to decide if they wanted to go on dates or talk more from there. And so it was a feature that was all about compatibility and seeing a best way to bring people together.
Interesting. What else did you learn from it? Because you're running such a basically show.
Yeah. It was, I think, the matching based off of interests. That was one of the biggest learnings, that actually did way better. It was the idea of putting more people into a room. I think ultimately the stats were around, I'd have to double check. I probably should have brushed up, but it was around 55% of the individual conversations ended up leading to both parties sharing a chat. So, one person could have sent a message and then the other person never responded or ghosted them. That did happen. That happened around 45% of the time, which kind of sucks. We had thought that would be the case. I guess ultimately 55% was kind of higher than I would have expected. The friend conversation, people chatted at a higher rate at than in the romantic conversation. So I think that maybe also says something about the what people are susceptible to in terms of what connections they're making and also what connections they're interested in. We also allowed people, they could opt in or out of any of those steps. So they could say, I don't want to do friend match, but I do want to do romantic. We thought almost everyone would do romantic and very few people would do friend and group. And almost everyone did all three. If anything, we saw romantic have the least amount or the most amount of opt-outs.
The least?
The most amount of opt-outs. So people were more interested in friendships and groups than they were for romantic.
Why do you think is that?
I think it speaks to two things. I think it speaks to the pressure that can be put on you in a romantic situation. So if you feel like you have to win a person over, you have to be a less authentic version of yourself potentially, I think that's a thing that's scary to people. Even in the realm of anonymity, which I think is an important step.
I was going to say, do you think it's anything to do with being anonymous or not?
I think anonymity in the context of authenticity can only help. I mean, that's a massive thesis for our product, is that anonymity can cause difficult situations, but it also allows you to be more authentic ultimately. And so we have way more people. We'd actually did a survey beforehand to say, should we make the matches anonymous or not anonymous? Reveal identities or even initials, or maybe their major. And almost every person said they would rather keep it anonymous, which I think speaks more to, I guess, a large piece of this generation, but that interest in, allowing them to progress a relationship at their own rate. And so, I guess on the romantic versus friend side, friendship maybe feels a little bit lower stakes. It's you feel a little bit more comfortable being your true self or revealing what you matched on. So we gave one thing, we would say one interest that you had in common with the person you matched on no matter what. So you'd have some starting point of how to discuss. And we saw that actually was a massive help in catalyzing conversations. So if you have something in common, you're like, yeah, of course I want to talk about video games. I can't believe you also love video games. That's so cool. And a lot of times, even in the friend, it was a person of the opposite gender or different identities than the person that they were matched with. But once they were a friend, it just allowed conversation to flow more freely. So I think we probably lean harder into that in the future too, is just allowing friendship